everyone, this is Faye at CSN Chicago News. Famed cellist Yo-Yo Ma will join other performers for a concert aimed at reducing violence in Chicago. The Concert for Peace is scheduled for June 11th at St. Sabina Church on the city's south side. The Chicago Symphony Orchestra Association says Ma will perform with members of the Civic Orchestra of Chicago and the Chicago Children Choir. All proceeds will go toward anti-violence and employment programs at St. Sabina. Ma is a creative consultant for the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. Ricardo Moody is music director. Ma and Moody teamed with Pfliger in planning the concert. They say it builds on their belief that art and music play a critical role in solving issues facing the community. More than 200 Cook County jail officers called off work Sunday, which also happens to be Mother's Day. About 32% of the officers assigned to work from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. did not go to work, according to the Cook County Sheriff's Office. The jail's visitation schedule was not affected, but the jail was placed on lockdown with only essential movement taking place, including medical and mental health. On the last year Mother's Day, 420 officers called in sick. About a month later, more than 520 officers called in sick on Father's Day and the following Monday. In May 2015, almost 640 correctional officers called in sick for shifts the same day that boxer Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao faced off. Amazon has announced plans to hire 2,000 workers in Illinois, according to a report. The hiring effort will take place over the next 14 months. The full-time job will be spread across several locations around the state, including the online retail giant 9 fulfillment centers in Chicago, Juliet, Romeoville, Monier, Waukegan, Edwardville, and 2 in Juliet. The company is also hiring for its corporate office in Chicago Loop, a bookstore in the city's Lakeview neighborhood, an Amazon Fresh location, and a camper pickup service at the University of Chicago, Illinois. Amazon's latest hiring effort is expected to bring the number of people employed by Amazon in Illinois to 7,000. Mayor Rahm Emanuel said Wednesday he is prepared to do some very difficult things to keep the Chicago public schools afloat and argued that the nearly bankrupt school system is $596 million in the hole only because state government is Illinois' largest deadbeat.
I'm going to do my job. The question is whether the governor and the state of Illinois are going to do their job. Illinois is dead last in funding education in the United States. First. Second, in the state of Illinois is the largest deadbeat in the state of Illinois. They're behind on payments, not just to the Chicago public schools, they're behind on payments to our universities and institutions of higher learning. A number of them now have been rated downgraded financially to junk, not because the education isn't good, it's because the state's not paying their bills. 500 superintendents of education from around the state demanded that the state pass an education funding that actually and then meet its obligations. It is adding insult to injury not only to be dead last in funding education, but then to be behind on your payments so dramatically that you're affecting the ability of us to keep moving forward academically. Our kids are making tremendous strides, leading the country in graduation rates, leading the country in urban school systems that our kids going on to college. Making grades in reading and math that were unthought of years ago. The state of Illinois has to do the most fundamental. Pass a budget, balanced budget, fully fund education. We are seeing the consequences of a governor who's never, ever, in his entire 22 months as governor, once introduced a budget.
Earlier this week, Emanuel's chief financial officer, Carol Brown, came clean with the magnitude of the problem needed to meet the mayor's demand to stave off a threatened earlier closing of Chicago public schools. Brown disclosed that CPS needed $596 million, 5 times more money than the $129 million gap previously made public. CPS is in a bind for a second straight year after balancing its budget by counting on state money that had string attached or didn't come in on time because of Springfield's budget stand-up. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
云天无际，承载梦想。中国南方航空是中国运输飞机最多、航线网络最发达、年客运量最大的航空公司。亚洲第一，全球第三，是南航缔造的业界奇迹。 蓝天壮志情，云海谱华章。
专业的团队，丰厚的经验。
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the Lake Cook Law Group.
投资理财、法律咨询，芝加哥专业律师团队为您的梦想提供最安全的保障。
Europol chief had said Friday's global cyber attack has affected more than 200,000 victims in 150 countries and regions.
Rob Wainwright on Sunday said many of those victims will be businesses, including large corporations. The global reach is unprecedented. Wainwright said the number of victims could continue to rise as people return to work on Monday. He warned healthcare sectors around the world are especially vulnerable, but stressed all organizations should prioritize cybersecurity and update their systems. The virus takes control of users' files and demand payments. Russia and Britain were among the worst-hit countries. The cyber attack has caused a widespread disruption to the UK's national health systems. Around 45 NHS organizations in England and Scotland, including hospitals and local surgeries, were hit by the virus, preventing doctors, nurses, and staff from accessing vital patient information.
As Russian President Vladimir Putin waited to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing on Sunday, he wasted no time, taking the opportunity to play piano nearby. He played 2 melodies, Moscow Windows and City on the Free Neva. Putin arrived in Beijing on Sunday morning to take part in China's Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation. Archaeologists have discovered 70 mummies in a catacombs area in central Egypt. Let's take a look.
The new discovery was unearthed in central Egypt's Minya province, which is about 230 kilometers away from capital Cairo. Egypt's antiquities minister confirmed that discovery is the first human necropolis found in central Egypt with such numbers of mummies. The minister said the discovery may reveal that there is a large necropolis behind the shafts. The area dates back to the Greco-Roman period between the 3rd century BC and 3rd century AD. The first archaeology discovery in the area was announced in 1931.
The importance of the discovery fills the gap in the history of this area, as it is the biggest discovery until now for tomb of ancient Egyptians lived here. The unearthed tomb is considered only 1% for the whole necropolis.
Cairo University, who supervises the excavation mission, said they will continue to find the antiquities and turn it into an important tourist center in the future.
Cuba's government is now tackling the problem of the country's aging population and low birth rate. It is creating regional assisted reproduction centers to increase fertility and boost the country's population.
Around 3,000 Cuban couples each year from the central provinces of Camagüey enroll in infertility treatments for assisted reproduction. The cost of fertility treatment can range from $7,000 to $20,000 around the world. However, it's free in Cuba.
Cuba has an aging population, and the younger generations postpone being parents because of their careers, way of life, and social and economic reasons. Therefore, they leave their parenthood until a later time, and when they arrive at the centers, difficulties begin to appear they did not expect to find. Because of a low birth rates and aging population, our government decided to promote these centers.
Since the assisted reproduction program began in 2010, this regional center has helped with more than 500 births. Cuba has 3 more assisted reproduction centers, meeting the increasing demand for infertility treatment. Many patients are pleased with the treatment here, saying the centers reflect the high standard reached by Cuban medicine.
Without this project, I would not be able to have my baby, because I do not have the economic resources to pay for this expensive treatment. I would have to abandon the treatment or even not start it. The fertilization is very expensive and takes a long time. I have already been doing this for 9 years.
Last year, the population of those 60 and over reached 19.6%, but fertility rate was 1.6 children per woman. Official figures also showed in 2016 the Cuban government spent $242 million in Social Security. If this trend continues, 30% of the Cuban population will be 60 and over by 2030, meaning the government will have to allocate around $417 million for Social Security.
The Eurovision Song Contest has marked its 62nd year in Ukraine's capital, Kiev. Portugal was this year's winner.
Portuguese singer Salvador Sobral won the Eurovision Song Contest with a romantic entry, Omar Pelos Dois, written by his sister. Sobral came first with 758 points, combining the highest possible score from the judges and the second highest score from the public. Bulgaria's Christian Kostov took the second place with 615 points, followed by Moldova's entry on 374 points. This is the first time Portugal won the contest. Previously, its best placing was 6th in 1996. This year's grand final of the Eurovision had 26 singers, gathering ratings of more than 204 million across Europe and around the world. Ukraine was granted the right to host Eurovision 2017 after Ukrainian singer Susanna Jamaladinova won last year's Eurovision final in Sweden.
This year's Shanghai Spring Music Festival showcased performances by more than 470 students. Many of them were children of migrant workers.
33 children from Guizhou province performed the musical Where Is Mom and Dad? Dressed in traditional Dong ethnic costumes, these youngsters, known as Left Behind children, put on a lively performance.
I want Dad and Mom to come back as soon as possible. I miss them very much.
There were also pupils from Fujian province and Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region. For many, it was the first time they had been in Shanghai.
Vancouver's Chinatown has officially been named a National Historic Site. A special ceremony was held in the neighborhood to unveil a commemoration plaque.
The ceremony was attended by national, provincial, and local leaders. Vancouver's Chinatown, first established in the 1880s, is one of the oldest and largest Chinatowns in the world. It reflects the many contributions and struggles of Chinese-Canadian residents in the country's history. The plaques will eventually be placed in the public square of Chinatown. Chinatown leader Fred Ma said the event was an important step in preserving the legacy and the future of the community. The ceremony also paid tribute to two late well-known residents of the neighborhood. A plaque was unveiled for the late Nellie Yip Chun, a white woman who married into the Chinese Canadian community. She spoke several Chinese dialects and helped Chinatown residents with more than 500 births in her role as a midwife. She was also a social worker. Another plaque was created to honor the late Wan Fu-sein, who was known as the unofficial mayor of Chinatown. He led a campaign to combat racist and unfair immigration restrictions targeting Chinese residents in the 1900s.
These people, even though they're not with us anymore, but they are very important to the Chinese Canadian community.
Ma said the neighborhood still faces a lot of pressure from developers and newcomers who fail to respect the community's culture and history.
What we're saying is that, look, change is possible, but respect what we have.
Many hope the neighborhood's new status will help to preserve its heritage.
It's not quite summer yet in Vancouver. The beach fashions are the focus of the Vancouver Swimwear Fashion Show. Let's have a look.
The Vancouver Swimwear Fashion Show, now in its third year, brings together local up-and-coming designers looking to break into the challenging swimwear industry. The event's creator is a Vancouver-based swimwear designer who created her own fashion show to promote the swimwear she had been making.
We started 3 years ago with the intent to basically celebrate local swimwear designers here in Vancouver. I had a project that had to both excite me and scare me at the same time, and at that time I had launched my online swimwear brand. And I really wanted it to get out there in the public, and I thought, why not a fashion show?
Breaking into the fashion industry is a daunting task, no matter the clothing you're designing. But one newcomer to the show has been designing and making swimsuits for only 10 months. She came to the show in Vancouver's Chinatown to introduce her line to the public.
So our biggest challenge is probably just trying to brand everything with a budget, because I have a vision for it, and right now it's not where I want it to be. And the show is letting me kind of show a presentation of kind of what I'm envisioning.
Both Secon and Merlot's market and sell their lines through their own online stores, leveraging technology to carve out their own market share. Merlot says the 5 designers showing their lines on Saturday in front of packed crowd are just like her. They all need an opportunity and need people to see their made in Vancouver designs.
It's the exposure. It's for the community to come out and check, what's up and coming in Vancouver. It's a great opportunity for the swim brands to put their name out there, showcase their designs, and celebrate what they've been working so hard for.
The fashion show also offers a way to promote creative entrepreneurship among young people in Canada.
Renovation on Istanbul's famous Istiklal Avenue is making many concerned about the loss of a pedestrian thoroughfare, well known in Turkey and abroad alike.
Many Turks think of Istiklal or Independence Avenue in Istanbul as once teeming with cheerful crowds and with red 19th century-style replica trams carrying tours through the tree-lined street. The cobblestone avenue had world-famous bookstores selling foreign literature and periodicals, as well as art galleries, shops, restaurants, coffee houses, and bars. But now those scenes are just memories, as the ongoing renovation makes the street look more like a disaster zone. The mayor of Bayoglu district, where the Istiklal Avenue lies, recently posted images of how the street will look after renovation is completed. Many intellectuals, including artists, columnists, and musicians, agreed that Istiklal has been losing its magic during the last 5 years. But the increase in suicide attacks in Istanbul and elsewhere over the last 2 years, as well as the failed coup last year, have also led to new construction works. For others, the renovation works are calculated efforts to make the streets more suitable for Arab tourist tastes, who now arrive here in great numbers. The construction of a giant mosque at the Taksim Square close to Istiklal began in February. The iconic Taksim Square used to be a major traffic hub, but was recently made into a pedestrian area of 100,000 square meters, with the entire area paved by granite.
E-waste produced by constant replacement of electronic products can cause serious pollution to the environment. However, most people don't know that e-waste can also be a supermine of rich resources. Large-scale recycling of embedded resources can transform waste into valuable material.
Lingwu City in the Ningxia Autonomous Region began exploiting supermines in 2008. Its Recycle Resources and Circular Economy Demonstration Area has set up example for other cities. In 2016 alone, the area took 2.8 million tons of old electrical appliances, cars, plastics, and other municipal waste and turned it into 1.95 million tons of recycled resources. At Ningxia Dayuan Recycle Resources Development, all of the e-waste will become raw material for production enterprises.
The dismantling process begins after wasted home appliance being sent to the processing area. It will only take 1 or 2 minutes to finish dismantling one. We hand over recyclable material like metal and plastic to the downstream business, while the non-recyclable waste will receive environmental treatment in the waste center.
Video surveillance is installed in the dismantling workshops to ensure that the process adheres to equality and safety standards.
This screen shows the phosphor removing procedure. After the TV glass shell is opened, the phosphor, which is toxic, will be exposed. So all the phosphor has to be sucked clean after opening the shell. We've made it a norm of processing.
In recent years, Lingwu's Recycle Resources and Circular Economy Demonstration Area has built up its processing capacity, achieving an output value of more than 3.5 billion yuan.
People have improved their living standard while upgrading TV and other home electronic appliances, and thus have generated loads of e-waste. But our job is to recycle and process the waste material, so as to make it a new resource.
The total industrial output of the area in 2016 exceeded the 8 billion yuan and is expected to reach 10 billion yuan in 2017.
Mount Chumiloma is famous as being the highest mountain in the world, reaching 8,848.43 meters above sea level. Today, Lifestyles goes to its base camp to have a look.
The base camp of Mount Chumiloma sits at an altitude of 5,200 meters. The summit is an aerial distance of some 19 kilometers away. The camp provides tents to mountaineers and travelers to stop here to regain their strength for the rest of the climb. The local tourist administration says the camp received more than 113,000 tours from home and abroad last year, with a year-on-year increase of 91%. The base camp is suitable for year-round travel, but the best season for mountaineering expeditions is from late April to the beginning of June, and from mid-September to early October.
And that's all for today's Lifestyles. For more news and highlights, follow us on YouTube, and you can also find out more on our website, en.ccnews.cn. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time.
The Belt and Road Initiative was first proposed in 2013. Since then, over 60 countries have signed up around the world as a way to rejuvenate their trade and development along routes. But who are these countries? What are they doing? And where do these routes go? To answer that question, we need to take a quick trip around the world.
Hello, I'm in a small commodity market in Yiwu. one of China's most famous trade centers. Goods have been living here for years, only now they move a little bit faster on international trade bound for Central Asia, the Middle East and Europe.
Hello, I'm in Kazakhstan, the largest landlocked country in the world, so it's quite difficult to send things by ship here. To help trade, China and Kazakhstan have teamed up to launch 52 projects at a cost of $24 billion, including this behind me, the Sino-Kazakhstan-Horgoz International Border Cooperation Center, the world's first cross-border free trade zone, at over 5 square kilometers. That's a lot of duty-free shopping.
Hi, I'm here at Moscow. Free trade and big projects mean nothing unless you have everyone pulling together in the right direction. And so it was here in Russia that one of the most important deals was struck on the Belt and Road Initiative, when in May 2015, Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping signed the joint statement on cooperation of connection between the Silk Road Economic Belt and Eurasia Economic Union, meaning that the majority of Eurasia are working together towards the same goal.
We're here at the rail freight depot in Madrid, another of the destinations on the China-Europe rail link. Since opening in 2014, an average of 2 trains a week have brought a total of around 14,000 containers of Chinese goods to Spain. But of course, it's not just about bringing Chinese goods to Spain. Here in Madrid, those containers are loaded with Spanish luxury goods, leather, olive oil and wine, before beginning the 10,000-kilometer journey back to China.
I'm here at Shanghai. Today, Shanghai is the world's biggest container port, with 37 million containers leaving here each year to 500 ports around the world.
From one big port to another, I'm here in Jakarta, Indonesia's economic, cultural, and political center. Jakarta was an important stop along the maritime Silk Road, and it still is today. Here, the port of Jakarta, commonly known as Tanjung Priok, is one of the busiest and most advanced seaports in the world. It's going to get even busier as China and Indonesia have launched an agreement to add 7 new terminals.
It's not just goods that get shipped along the route. Hello, I'm here in the Colombo International Financial City, a special financial zone that is expected to become a giant offshore financial center. Literally offshore because they're building it on the sea. The $1.5 billion project was launched in September 2014 by former Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa and the Chinese President Xi Jinping. And when finished, it is expected to completely change the financial sector here.